You are standing beneath the floodlights in Lisbon, and the entire stadium is waiting for you to disappear. Portugal has the ball. Portugal has the crowd. Portugal has Luis Figo, Deco, and a 19-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo running at your defenders as if history has already chosen its winner. Then a corner rises into the penalty area. Angelos Caristiès jumps, the net moves, and the most unwanted team at the tournament takes the lead. How can a country that had never won a match at a major tournament arrive in Portugal and become champion of Europe? The easy answer is defense. It is also incomplete. Greece did not win Euro 2004 simply because your team placed 10 men behind the ball and hoped. You won because Otto Rehhagel understood something more uncomfortable. A tournament does not reward the team that looks most beautiful. It rewards the team that solves each match before the opponent solves it. That difference changed everything. Before 2004, Greece barely existed in the imagination of international football. Your country had appeared at the European Championship only once, in 1980, and had lost all 3 matches at the 1994 World Cup without scoring a goal. Qualification itself felt like success. Then Rehhagel arrived in 2001. He was 63 years old, German, stubborn, and unfamiliar with Greek football culture. His first match ended in a 5-1 defeat against Finland. The beginning did not look like a miracle. It looked like another failed experiment. So what did he see that everyone else missed? He saw players who were not global superstars, but who understood hardship, responsibility, and collective work. Theodoros Zagorakis could control the emotional temperature of midfield. Traianos Delis could dominate the penalty area. Antonios Nicopolidis could remain calm while the match became chaotic. Georgos Karagounis could carry the ball, win fouls, and turn pressure into territory. Rehhagel did not ask them to imitate Brazil, France, or the Netherlands. He asked them to become unmistakably Greece. Qualification began badly. Your team lost its first 2 matches, against Spain and Ukraine. Then Greece won the next 6, finished above Spain, and qualified automatically. That run taught the squad its first essential lesson. The plan did not need applause. It needed repetition. By the time you reached Portugal, Greece had become difficult to move, difficult to surprise, and almost impossible to frighten. The structure was simple enough to explain, but exhausting to break. When the opponent had the ball, Greek defenders stayed close to the attackers they were responsible for. This was man-marking, an old idea in which a defender follows a specific opponent instead of merely guarding an area of the pitch. Jonathan Wilson later pointed to Greece as a rare modern example of a team reviving aggressive man-marking after most elite football had moved toward zonal systems. Why did that old method work? Because modern attackers had learned how to manipulate space. They drifted between defensive zones, pulled center-backs away, and waited for confusion. Greece removed that comfort. Wherever an important attacker moved, a Greek shirt arrived with him. Behind them, Delis could act as a spare defender, sometimes described as a sweeper. That meant he was free to cover danger behind the other defenders rather than chase the first movement. In front of them, Zagorakis and Angelos Bassinas protected the center, slowed transitions, and made the pitch feel narrower than it really was. This was not passive defending. It was controlled denial. Your opponent could have possession, but not the possession it wanted. It could pass, but mostly in harmless areas. It could attack, but only through crowded paths where every touch became a negotiation. Then came the opening match. Portugal expected a celebration. The host nation had Figo, Rui Costa, Deco, Pauleta, and Ronaldo. The tournament had been designed as their stage. 7 minutes into the match, Karagounis intercepted a loose pass, drove forward, and struck from outside the penalty area. Greece led. Early in the second half, Sideridis burst into the box and was fouled. Bassinas converted the penalty. Ronaldo scored late, but Portugal still lost 2-1. Was this luck? Or had the tournament already revealed its central pattern? Portugal had more famous players and more of the ball. Greece had clearer moments. Your team did not need to dominate the entire match. It needed to dominate the few actions that changed the score. Against Spain, Greece fell behind to Fernando Morientes. Spain controlled long stretches of the game, but one direct pass released Caristiès, who equalized. The match ended 1-1. Then came danger. Russia scored twice inside 17 minutes in the final group match. Zisas Vrizas pulled one back before halftime, but Greece lost 2-1. For a few nervous minutes, the miracle appeared to be collapsing before it had properly begun. Greece and Spain finished level on points and goal difference. Greece advanced because it had scored more goals. Sometimes history enters through a doorway only a few centimeters wide. The quarterfinal brought France, the defending European champion. Zinedine Zidane, Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, and Patrick Vieira stood on the other side. On paper, the contest looked cruel. Rehhagel made it personal. Jurkas Saitoritis stayed close to Henry. The midfield denied Zidane clean space near the penalty area. France could circulate the ball, but every central route seemed to close just before it became dangerous. Then, in the 65th minute, Zagorakis escaped on the right. He lifted a cross toward the far post. Carestillas rose above the defense and headed the ball past Fabien Barthez. One attack, one goal, one defending champion eliminated. UEFA's match record describes the victory as a product of discipline and strong will. But those words can sound vague until you picture the work. Every Greek player had to move at the same moment. Every defender had to trust the covering player behind him. Every midfielder had to resist chasing the ball into the wrong area. Could beauty exist inside that kind of obedience? For Greece, it did. Beauty was not a sequence of 20 passes. It was 10 players recognizing the same danger before it happened. It was Saitoritis following Henry without losing concentration. It was Delis stepping into the correct space before the final pass arrived. It was Zagorakis turning a defensive escape into the cross that won the match. The semi-final was even more extreme. The Czech Republic had been the tournament's most exciting attacking team. Pavel Nedvěd, Tomáš Rosický, Karel Poborský, Milan Baroš, and Jan Koller had carried them through 4 consecutive victories. They had scored 10 goals before meeting Greece. Now you had to survive the favorite that neutral fans actually loved. The Czech attacks came in waves. Koller hit the bar. Nedvěd was forced off injured. Baroš searched for gaps around the Greek defense. Mykopolitis made saves, defenders blocked shots, and the minutes became heavier. Rehhagel adjusted according to the Czech forwards. When 2 attackers threatened the center, Greece could drop another defender into the back line, creating a 5-man barrier. It was not a fixed formation drawn forever on a tactics board. It was a shape that changed according to the problem. After 90 minutes, the score was 0-0. Extra time began under the silver goal rule. Unlike a golden goal, which ended the match immediately, a silver goal allowed play to continue until the end of that half of extra time. If one team was still ahead then, the match ended. At the end of the first extra time period, Greece won a corner. Vasilios Tsiartas delivered it. Delis attacked the near post and headed the ball into the net in the 105th minute. It was his only goal in 53 international appearances, and it became the only silver goal winner in European Championship history. The whistle came moments later. The most entertaining team at Euro 2004 was gone. The team accused of refusing entertainment was in the final. That is the counterintuitive heart of the story. Greece did not destroy football by refusing to play beautifully. Greece exposed how narrowly beauty had been defined. A perfect defensive rotation can require the same timing as a perfect passing move. A header from a rehearsed corner can contain the same intelligence as a dribble through 3 defenders. You simply notice one more easily. The final returned you to Portugal. The host had recovered from the opening defeat, changed its midfield, and grown into the tournament under Luis Felipe Scolari. Ronaldo was more confident. Deco had become central to the attack. The crowd at the Estadio da Luz expected revenge and a first major international trophy. Greece had one additional problem. Karagounis was suspended. The obvious creative player was missing. The atmosphere belonged completely to Portugal. The emotional script seemed written. But Greece had already learned that a football match does not care about the script around it. Portugal attacked. Figo drifted across the front line. Ronaldo challenged in the air and drove toward goal. Deco searched for the final pass. Nicopolitis and the defense kept surviving. Then came the 57th minute. Bacinas placed the ball for a corner. Charistias stood near Costinha. As the delivery curved inward, Portuguese goalkeeper Ricardo moved into traffic and could not reach it. Carestillas rose. One clean header. Portugal 0, Greece 1. For the remaining minutes, your team defended the most valuable space in Greek sporting history. Delis intercepted. Kapsis challenged. Zagorakis ran until leadership looked like a physical act. Nicopolitis watched shots pass wide and gathered what reached him. When the referee ended the match, Greece had beaten the host nation twice in the same tournament. 3 knockout matches. 3-1-0 victories. France defeated by a header. The Czech Republic defeated by a header. Portugal defeated by a header. Was that repetition primitive, or was it proof of mastery? Rehhagel knew exactly where Greece held an advantage. Your defenders were powerful in the air. Your delivery from wide positions was reliable. Your opponents became impatient when the center closed. Every match pushed them toward the kind of contest Greece wanted. Theodoros Zagorakis was named the tournament's best player, not because he produced the most spectacular highlight reel, but because he represented the system. He covered ground, carried pressure, protected teammates, and made good decisions when the game became unstable. That was the real Greek Revolution. There was no ego large enough to break the structure. A substitute could accept the bench. A star could spend the match tracking an opponent. A defender could become the hero from a corner. A striker could touch the ball rarely and still decide the night. Modern football still carries this lesson. You see it whenever an underdog narrows the pitch against a richer team. You see it when a national side sacrifices possession to protect the center. You see it when a knockout match is decided by a set piece, which simply means a rehearsed restart such as a corner or free kick. The names change. The principle does not. Possession is not control if it leads nowhere. Attacking is not courage if it ignores risk. Defensive football is not automatically cowardice when every movement is deliberate and every player understands the cost of one mistake. Greece gave the ball away and took the match instead. That is why Euro 2004 still feels impossible. The champion did not have the deepest squad, the most gifted playmaker, or the most celebrated football culture. It had a manager willing to reject fashion and players willing to reject individual vanity. The victory was not a blueprint that any weak team could copy. Without Delas, Zagorakis, Charistias, Nikopolidis, Bassinas, Saitaridis, and the rest executing their roles with extraordinary concentration, the structure would have broken. Tactics created the opportunity. Human discipline completed it. So, return to Lisbon. The floodlights are still burning. Portugal still has the ball. The stadium is still waiting for you to disappear. But now you understand what the crowd could not see. Greece was never disappearing. Greece was quietly moving the entire match into the one place where it knew how to win.